Hello and welcome to The Cat and the Parrot. Quite a topical one right now. Obviously, many schools right now are rewriting their peer-on-peer abuse policy, and they are looking at training for staff because of many things, really. One is what the media is pushing, another one which is what Ofsted are pushing with inspections and things like that, but also the whole push for making sure that we are accountable and helping the students. But it sometimes feels like we are maybe just writing a policy and then tick box, it's all done. So what should schools actually be doing with this peer-on-peer abuse? What should we be making sure that we're doing for a culture or for education? What should we be doing?
Okay, so since my career, all through my career, I can consistently say I've handled these cases of children. We used to call it child-on-child harm. Now we call it peer-on-peer abuse. So it's not a new dilemma at all. Actually, it's been, it's one of those things that's been happening since day one in the same, I would say mankind, but being pretty correct, I'll say people kind, because it's not about mankind, it's about people.
Yeah.
So anyway, so in that is something where the nature of human behaviours of people who want to control or whatever it might be. I know with teenagers, sometimes curiosity or the whole thing about exploring, as well as appropriate to the age who you are, about your hormones and being attracted to somebody, etc. So definitely, I would say to this question that what should we be doing? We need to have it could happen here approach, because that's what keeping children safe says, right? We call it KICSI. Yeah. So it's been saying that for years, okay? It should happen here, and I think the unthinkable. Yeah. So if we are also tying that into the NSPCC research about 1 in 20 in essential people, in every class, there's a person who's been subject to harm in a sexual manner, okay? And we know 1/3 of harm has been done by their peers, okay? So when you do that, calculate all that together, that is telling us there are in every school, there will be young children under the age of 18 who would have been, is, and will be, in the sense of past, now, and future, subject to harm in a sexual manner. I'm deliberately using my words, Kerry, because in talking to young people, I've been quite a lot in the last 2 weeks over the break of supporting staff in kind of recognising and training of the awareness. By saying it's abuse, none of us like to admit, unfortunately, we've been subject to abuse. But when you say someone's harmed you or someone's made you feel uncomfortable or did something inappropriate to you, I'm more likely to say, yeah, that happened. Yeah. So we need to be aware of that in all of this, and creating a culture where we're inviting young people to trust, respect confidentiality, but creating a lovely space where they're able to tell someone. And remembering, in my role as a trustee, the child abuse reviews I get from the Association of Child Protection Professional Reviews, they spoke about disclosures and how young people want an opportunity to, or want to tell, in a safe spaces. Whether it's they choose the person or through a behaviour meltdown, they're going to break down and tell you why. But I think it's really important. So things like picking up the dynamics, the power imbalance in a group, picking up even the most confident. I remember when I worked in a setting, a young person who was very academic, and therefore people have assumed she was quite mature and able, it's resilient, but actually she wasn't. So it was only through a passing comment that she was unsure about that it came out that actually somebody had sexually harmed her. Right. But she felt really guilty or part of it because she arranged to meet them. So did I contribute towards that? Rather than actually, absolutely, and I think even in the ones I've done post-police investigations, when the whole consent blurry bit happens, it's very clear in 99.9% of the young people I've spoken to about this, none of them have consent, and they are very kind of, confused about consent. Because is it a word or is it an action? Do you understand? Yeah. And when they have the time to speak to you, they actually tell you their feelings, and then you get the fact that it was not consensual. But unfortunately, they weren't able to say it in a very formal environment, being a police interview. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So really though, schools, many schools, this is their thinking, we already mention it in our safeguarding policy, so we'll write another one just to cover our back. We feel we already have a safe space, but maybe we need to highlight it better. We feel we train staff already, but perhaps we need to be a bit more specific. Is there anything else you think that schools should be doing differently now?
Yes, so for example, bystander model,
Yeah.
the model where young people can look out for young people, that friend knows that her or his friend
Yeah.
has been subject to something because they confided in them, but how do they feel confident in going to tell someone? So we also have to remember boys in this, Kerry. We have to remember boys being subject to harm by boys and by girls. And I think at the moment it's all on girls. And don't get me wrong, we get that, but we have to remember boys because they're children. So it's violence against sexual violence against children. And predominantly young women, women and such, females, but also boys too. So I think we have to, even in the boys' schools, creating the re-educating, but also creating a really nice culture where they are able to talk about their own things happening to them. So I think it's getting the voice of the young people,
right?
But really, so anonymous as well, but encouraging it from an angle where including people because at the moment it's so blurred, like it's over there rather than my friend next to me. Do you understand? And that's where I think the control comes in. Going back to the coercive stuff, you're in a friendship group, but there's kind of a pack where potentially what the rules are. We don't talk about things, it just happens. But you know me and I'm your friend and I'm nice to you. But sometimes we do this act. Do you understand?
Yeah. So I think this is definitely a topic for another day, but PSHE, I mean, the tutor, PSHE, educating, and it's not just a tick box, right? We'll do it on the start of the term. This is something that we're going to have to keep coming back to.
Yeah.
And all right, we've done it already, but it's maybe a bit more in depth and a bit more specific about those bits.
Yeah, I mean, my one liner to you would be, summarising this, we have to create an ongoing culture of vigilance for young people, with young people, to young people, from young people, but us too. So that whole school approach has to happen, from the caretaker to the office staff, to the ground people, to people doing the gates, all of those, the midday supervisors, all of that, because that's when you're picking up. And the blind spots, knowing where on site people go to, where they know there's low traffic. So there's so much to be done, but absolutely, we'll pick this up another time.
Okay,
But we started the conversation.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.